I just smiled and made 3 phone calls. My nephew told his business partners I was a washed-up has-been living in the past. He had no idea the warehouse he was renting for his sneaker resale empire belonged to me. My name is Marcus Webb. I'm 67 years old, and for the past 3 years, I've watched my sister's son, Tyler, transform from a decent kid into something I barely recognize. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It started on a Tuesday morning in September. I was in my workshop behind the house, restoring a 1967 Mustang, when Tyler's Porsche Cayenne pulled into my driveway. I heard it before I saw it. The engine had a particular growl that seemed designed to announce wealth, or at least the appearance of it. "Uncle Mark," Tyler called out, using the nickname he'd dropped around the time he turned 25. He was 32 now. "Got a minute?" I wiped my hands on a rag and walked out to meet him. He was wearing one of those designer tracksuits that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. His girlfriend, Sienna, sat in the passenger seat, scrolling through her phone without looking up. "What's going on, Tyler?" He glanced back at the house, a modest 3-bedroom ranch I'd lived in for 40 years. "Can we talk inside?" The kitchen still had the same yellow wallpaper my late wife, Patricia, had picked out in 1989. I offered Tyler coffee. He declined, looking around the room like he was cataloging evidence. "Uncle Mark, I wanted to talk to you about your living situation." I sat down at the kitchen table. "My living situation? Yeah. Look, I know you've been here a long time, but have you thought about what happens as you get older? I mean, you're almost 70, 67. Right, but that's getting up there. And this house, it's a lot to maintain. The yard work, the repairs. I'm worried about you." I took a sip of my coffee. Through the window, I could see Sienna had gotten out of the car and was taking photos of the house with her phone. "I manage fine." Tyler leaned forward, his voice taking on that practiced tone I'd heard him use when pitching investors. "Here's what I'm thinking. There's a really nice senior living community over in Riverside. Independent living, so you'd have your own apartment. But there's support staff, if you need anything. Activities, other people your age. And the best part? You could sell this place, use that money to pay for it. No more worrying about property taxes, maintenance, any of that. I'm not selling my house. I know it feels that way now, but just think about it. I could even help you find a realtor. Actually, Sienna's cousin works in real estate. She could come by, give you an idea of what it's worth. The market's hot right now. This location, even though the house needs work, you're sitting on probably 4, maybe 450. I said no, Tyler. He sat back, and something shifted in his expression. "Uncle Mark, I'm trying to help you here. You can't live in denial forever. This house is falling apart. Look at that water stain on the ceiling. And when's the last time you updated anything? The kitchen looks like 1990, 1989. Exactly. You're living in the past. And I get it. You have memories here with Aunt Patricia. But she's been gone for 8 years now. At some point, you have to move forward." I stood up. "Thank you for your concern. I'm not interested." Tyler's jaw tightened. "Fine. But don't come crying to me when you can't handle the stairs anymore, or when something breaks and you can't afford to fix it." He left without saying goodbye. Through the window, I watched him and Sienna talk animatedly in the driveway, both looking back at the house. Sienna took a few more photos before they drove away. That was the first conversation. It wouldn't be the last. Over the next 2 months, Tyler escalated. He started showing up, unannounced, with different people. A handyman to assess the foundation. A contractor to evaluate the roof. Each time, I turned them away, but Tyler always had the same speech ready about how I was being stubborn, how I couldn't see what was best for me. Then came the family dinner. My sister, Caroline, Tyler's mother, hosted Thanksgiving at her place in the suburbs. The whole family was there. Caroline's husband, Richard, their daughter, Madison, Tyler, and Sienna, and me. We were halfway through the meal when Tyler cleared his throat. "So, everyone, I wanted to bring something up. It's about Uncle Mark." Caroline looked at me, then at Tyler. "What about him? He's living alone in that old house, and I'm really worried about his safety. The place is deteriorating, and he refuses to even consider other options. Tyler, I said quietly, we've discussed this. No, we haven't discussed it. You've shut down every conversation. But this affects all of us. What happens when you fall and can't get up? When you have a medical emergency and there's no one there? We'll all feel responsible. Richard, Tyler's stepfather, shifted uncomfortably. Tyler might have a point, Mark. At a certain age, it makes sense to have support nearby. I appreciate everyone's concern. But I'm healthy. I see my doctor regularly. I'm fine. Tyler pulled out his phone. I actually took some photos when I was there last. Look at this water damage, and this crack in the foundation. The place is literally falling apart around him. He passed the phone around the table. I recognized the photos Sienna had taken from the driveway, and a few others that Tyler must have snapped when I wasn't looking. Madison, who'd always been kind to me, spoke up. Uncle Mark, are you open to maybe just looking at some options? Not necessarily moving, but just seeing what's out there. I'm not interested in moving anywhere. Tyler slammed his hand on the table. This is ridiculous. You're being selfish. Do you know what it's like for us? Constantly worrying about you? And for what? So you can cling to some house that's going to collapse around you? Tyler, Caroline said sharply. That's enough. No, Mom, it's not enough. Someone needs to say it. He's being irresponsible. And we're all going to pay the price when something happens. I stood up from the table. Thank you for dinner, Caroline. I'm going to head home. As I walked to my car, I heard Tyler's voice carrying through the open window. See? He won't even have a rational conversation about it. Someone's going to have to make decisions for him eventually. The following week, Tyler called me. Uncle Mark, I want to apologize for Thanksgiving. I came on too strong. I'm just worried about you. You know? Can I come by? I want to make things right. Against my better judgment, I agreed. He showed up Saturday morning, this time without Sienna. He seemed more like the old Tyler, the kid who used to help me work on cars in this same garage. I brought bagels, he said, holding up a bag, from that place on Morrison you always liked. We sat in the kitchen, and for a while, it felt normal. He asked about the Mustang restoration, told me about his sneaker business, how he'd expanded to a second warehouse in Portland. Actually, he said, that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Not the moving thing. I'm dropping that. I can see it upsets you, but I do have a business opportunity you might be interested in. I'm retired, Tyler. I know. But hear me out. I'm looking for investors for this expansion. It's a sure thing. The sneaker resale market is exploding. I've got connections with suppliers in Japan, China, exclusive releases. I could turn a $50,000 investment into $200,000 in 18 months. I'm not interested in investing. Uncle Mark, this is different. This is family. I wouldn't come to you if I wasn't certain. Look, I know you probably have some money saved up, Social Security, whatever pension you get. This could really set you up for your retirement years. There it was. The real reason for the visit. I need to ask you to leave, Tyler. His expression hardened. You're making a mistake. This is a limited time opportunity. Goodbye, Tyler. After he left, I sat in the kitchen for a long time, looking at the water stain on the ceiling he'd mentioned. It was from a leak I'd fixed in 2019. The stain remained, but the problem was solved. I just never bothered to repaint. December arrived, and with it, the real escalation. I was at the grocery store when I got a call from my neighbor, Helen Mitchum. She's 73, lived next door for 25 years. Mark, there are people at your house, a young man and woman, and they're showing other people around your property. They're in your backyard. I left my cart in the middle of the aisle and drove home. When I pulled up, there was Tyler's Cayenne, Sienna's Range Rover, and 2 other cars I didn't recognize. Through my side gate, I could see them all in the backyard. I walked around the house to find Tyler standing on my deck with 4 other people, 2 couples in their 30s, all dressed in expensive, casual wear. And this is the backyard, Tyler was saying. Needs landscaping work, obviously, but the lot size is the real value here. 1/4 acre in this neighborhood, you could extend the house, add a pool, really make it something special. Tyler, he turned. and I saw something in his eyes. Not embarrassment, annoyance. Uncle Mark, hey, these are some friends of mine. I was just showing them the neighborhood. Get off my property. All of you. One of the men stepped forward. Sir, Tyler mentioned you were thinking about selling. We're very interested in the area. I'm not selling. Tyler is lying to you. Sienna rolled her eyes. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Tyler walked over to me, lowering his voice. Can you not do this right now? These people drove an hour to see the place. I didn't invite them. You did. Without my permission. Get them out of here. Uncle Mark, you're being unreasonable. I'm trying to help you. These folks are serious buyers. They'd pay cash, probably over asking. You could be in that senior community by January. I said get out. The couples were already moving toward the gate, clearly uncomfortable. Tyler followed them, and I heard him apologizing, explaining that I was having a difficult time accepting reality and that he was working on it. After they left, I found Sienna still in the backyard, taking measurements with a tape measure app on her phone. What are you doing? She didn't even look up. Tyler asked me to get dimensions, for staging purposes. Staging. Yeah, when you finally agree to sell. The sooner we have this information, the faster we can move. This kitchen will need to be gutted, obviously. And these floors, she wrinkled her nose. But the bones are good. Get out of my house. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Contempt. You know what Tyler says about you? He says you smell like motor oil and regret, that you're rotting away in this museum, too stubborn to accept help. And he's right. You're pathetic. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, clarity. Leave. Now. She left, but not before taking a few more photos of the kitchen. That evening, Tyler sent me an email. The subject line was, "For your own good." I opened it. Uncle Mark, I know you're upset about today, but someone needs to be the adult here. I've been doing research, and I think we need to discuss power of attorney. At your age, with your clearly declining judgment, it makes sense for someone younger to help manage your affairs. I've attached some documents. Look them over. We can meet with a lawyer after Christmas. This isn't negotiable anymore. The family is in agreement that you need supervision. Love, Tyler. Attached were POA forms, already partially filled out, with Tyler's name in the designated spots. I sat at my computer and began typing a response. Then I stopped. I deleted it. I had a better idea. The next morning, I drove to my office. Not my home office, my actual office, the one in the building downtown that I'd owned since 1995. My assistant, Jennifer, looked up when I walked in. Mr. Webb, I didn't know you were coming in today. I need you to pull some files for me. Warehouse properties. And get me David Brennan on the phone. David was my attorney. Had been for 30 years. Within an hour, I had the information I needed. I made a list. I checked it twice. Then I started making calls. Call number 1 was to David. I need you to send a formal notice to Tyler Webb. He's been entering my personal property without permission, misrepresenting his authority, and attempting to coerce me into signing legal documents. I want it documented. If he continues, we'll pursue harassment charges and a restraining order. Consider it done. Call number 2 was to Pacific Coast Property Management. This is Marcus Webb. I need you to review the lease for Unit 2847, the warehouse space on Industrial Boulevard. Check for violations. I have reason to believe the tenant is using the space for purposes beyond what's stipulated in the lease agreement. If there are violations, I want them documented, and I want to know our options for termination. We'll conduct an inspection this week, Mr. Webb. Call number 3 was to my accountant. Remove Tyler Webb from any documentation suggesting he has authority over my finances. He's been telling people he's managing my affairs. I want it crystal clear that he has no access, no authority, no involvement whatsoever. Also, I'm updating my will. Set up a meeting with David Brennan to coordinate. By the end of the day, the wheels were in motion. That weekend was Christmas. Caroline had invited me to their house again. I almost declined, but I decided I wanted to see this through. Tyler was there with Sienna, both of them wearing matching designer sweaters that probably cost more than my monthly utilities. They barely acknowledged me when I arrived. Dinner was awkward. Tyler and Sienna kept exchanging glances, whispering to each other. Finally, as Caroline was bringing out dessert, Tyler stood up. "Before we do presents, I have an announcement. Sienna and I have some exciting news." He put his arm around her. "We're buying a house. A real house, not a rental. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, in Laurelhurst." Caroline clasped her hands together. "Tyler, that's wonderful! How did you manage that? The market's so expensive." Tyler smiled. "Well, let's just say I've got some things in the works. Some deals about to close, and Sienna's business is taking off. We're pre-approved for up to $800,000. Sienna looked directly at me. "We were hoping to find something before spring. Maybe something that needs a little work, but has good bones. Character, you know?" "That sounds lovely," Caroline said. "Mark, you remember when Patricia and I went house hunting back in the day? So exciting." Tyler sat back down. "Actually, Uncle Mark, I'm surprised you're not more interested in downsizing. Sienna and I were talking, and we realized that for what you're sitting on, you could get a really nice condo. New construction, low maintenance, everything on one floor. Better for someone your age." "I'm not interested." "Right, we know. You've made that clear. It's just funny, you know? You've got this asset you're not even using properly, while people our age can barely afford to get started. But hey, your choice. Just seems selfish to some people." I took a bite of pie. Didn't respond. After dinner, Tyler pulled me aside in the hallway. "Did you get my email? About the POA?" "I did. And I'm not signing anything." His expression darkened. "Uncle Mark, I tried to do this the nice way, but you're forcing my hand. I talked to a lawyer. At your age, if family members have concerns about your mental competency, there are steps we can take. Court-ordered evaluations, guardianship proceedings. You're threatening me. I'm trying to protect you, whether you like it or not." I looked at my nephew. This person I'd watched grow up, who I'd lent money to for his first car, who I'd helped move into his first apartment, and I realized I didn't recognize him anymore. "Do what you think you need to do, Tyler." He shook his head. "You're going to regret this." 3 days later, I got a call from Pacific Coast Property Management. "Mr. Webb, we completed the inspection of Unit 2847. The tenant, Urban Soul LLC, is in violation of several lease terms. They've been hosting unauthorized events, exceeding occupancy limits, and we found evidence of unpermitted modifications to the space. Under the terms of the lease, you have grounds for immediate termination. Send them notice. 30 days. Understood." That same afternoon, I got an email from Tyler's business account, Urban Soul LLC. The subject was urgent. Warehouse lease. To our landlord. "We recently received notice of lease termination for our warehouse space. This must be some kind of mistake. We've been excellent tenants for 2 years. Please contact us immediately to resolve this. We're willing to discuss a lease extension and rental increase if that's what this is about. Tyler Webb, CEO, Urban Soul LLC." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, Tyler showed up at my house. No Porsche this time. He was driving a rental car. He looked like he hadn't slept. "Uncle Mark, please. I need to talk to you. I'm busy. Is it true? Are you the landlord for our warehouse?" I looked at him. "Yes. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked. You assumed I was just some broke old man in a falling apart house." His face went pale. "I didn't. I never said that." "Yes, you did," Sienna told me. "Motor oil and regret, I believe was the phrase. That was..." She was upset. "We didn't mean. You've been trying to get me declared incompetent, trying to take my house, lying to potential buyers, entering my property without permission. And you did all of this while renting from me, while depending on my property for your business." Tyler's hands were shaking. "Please, don't do this. The new warehouse spaces are twice as expensive. I can't afford to move Urban Soul right now. We're expanding. I've got investors. If I have to relocate, it'll kill our momentum. You should have thought about that before you called me pathetic. I'll apologize. To you, to the family. I'll tell everyone I was wrong. Please, Uncle Mark. I'm begging you. 30 days, Tyler. Find a new space. What about the house? The POA stuff? I'll drop all of it. I'll never mention it again. You'll drop it because if you don't, my attorney will pursue harassment charges. I have documentation of everything. The unauthorized property showings, the coercion attempts, the threats about guardianship, all of it. He stepped back like I'd hit him. You were documenting? I'm 67, not senile. I know how to protect myself. What about my business? You're just going to destroy what I've built? No, Tyler. You destroyed it when you decided lying and manipulation were acceptable business practices. I'm just declining to continue subsidizing it. He left without another word. The next day, I got a call from Caroline. Mark, Tyler told me what happened. I don't understand. You own his warehouse? I own 16 commercial properties in the metro area. The warehouse is one of them. There was a long silence. 16 properties? Mark, how? When did this happen? I started buying in the early 90s. Patricia and I were careful with money. I invested wisely. I've done well. But you live in that little house. You drive that old truck. You always said you were just getting by on your pension. I never said that. Everyone assumed it. Big difference. Tyler feels terrible. He said you're evicting him. His company violated the lease. Multiple times. I'm enforcing the terms he agreed to. Isn't there anything you can do? He's family? He tried to have me declared incompetent so he could control my assets. He brought strangers onto my property without permission. He told his girlfriend, I smell like regret. At what point does being family stop excusing abuse? Caroline was quiet for a moment. He said those things? Yes. I'm so sorry, Mark. I had no idea he'd gone that far. I thought he was just worried about you. He was worried about my house, not me. Is there any way to fix this? That's up to Tyler. But the lease termination stands. My attorney has advised me to maintain clear boundaries. After I hung up, I walked out to the garage. The Mustang was almost finished. Just needed paint and some detail work. I ran my hand along the hood, feeling the smooth primer. Patricia and I had always planned to restore this car together. She died before we got the chance. But I'd finished it anyway, piece by piece, in this garage behind this house that everyone thought was falling apart. My phone rang. It was Jennifer from the office. Mr. Webb, I have the updated portfolio summary you requested. Your commercial properties are currently valued at approximately $43 million. Residential holdings bring the total to just over $47 million. And that's not counting your investment accounts. Thank you, Jennifer. Can you send that to David Brennan? He's updating my estate documents. Of course. Oh, and Pacific Coast called. They found 3 other potential tenants interested in the warehouse space, all offering higher rent than the previous tenant. Set up tours for next week. I hung up and went back to the Mustang. I had work to do. A month later, Tyler's warehouse was empty. I drove by once, saw the Urban Soul sign being taken down. He'd found a new space eventually, out in Gresham, but the rent ate into his margins. I heard from Madison that he'd had to let go of 2 employees. Sienna left him 3 months after that. Apparently, the Laurelhurst house wasn't happening anymore. She moved to Los Angeles to pursue influencer opportunities. Tyler sent me one last email in March. Uncle Mark, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I was greedy and cruel, and I treated you terribly. You were right about everything. I destroyed my own business because I couldn't see past my assumptions. I'm sorry. I don't expect a response, Tyler. I didn't respond, but I did update my will. Madison, who'd always been kind, would inherit the house and enough to pay it off completely. The rest would go to various charities. Tyler got nothing, but there was a clause. If he could demonstrate through verified charitable work and changed behavior over a period of no less than 5 years, the executor had discretion to provide him with a modest trust. Not for him, for the person he might become if he learned the lesson. I'm 67 years old. I live in a house that people think is falling apart. I drive a 20-year-old truck. I wear clothes from outlet stores. And I'm worth $47 million. The house isn't falling apart. It's just old, like me. The water stain on the ceiling is from a problem I fixed years ago. The kitchen looks like 1989 because that's when Patricia picked out the wallpaper, and I'm not ready to change it. My nephew thought I smelled like motor oil and regret. He was half right. I do smell like motor oil. I'm restoring a car my late wife and I dreamed about. There's no regret in that. Just the quiet satisfaction of finishing what you started, on your own terms, in your own time. I made 3 phone calls, and I protected what was mine. Not because I'm vengeful, but because I'm not anyone's mark. Not anyone's meal ticket. Not anyone's incompetent old man who needs to be managed. I'm just Marcus Webb, and I'm doing just fine.